welcome to Box Free with Stephanie. Today I want to show you how to make some basic foods with simple ingredients from scratch. And hopefully you can discover that cooking box free is fast and delicious. So let's cook together. Today we are going to make enchiladas, which is basically burritos with a fancy sauce on top that you put in the oven. So let's get started. The first thing we're going to do is make our enchilada sauce. So for that I need 3 tablespoons of flour. And I like to do all my little spices in a little bowl before I add them to my oil on my pan. Whoopsie, my adjustable thing just broke. Well, not really broke, just comes apart. They come apart to clean. Okay, anyway, I'm going to turn on my little stove. All right, so 3 tablespoons of flour. Then I need 2 teaspoons of chili powder. My goodness, a brand new chili powder. Hang on. Okay, 2 teaspoons of chili powder. So that is, whoa, not like that. Oh well, that'll be fine. It's pretty close to 2 teaspoons, right? Okay, and then I need a 3/4 teaspoon of cumin. So I'll adjust my measuring spoon on this one. Oh my gosh, my spices are just all whacked out today. That's okay. The good thing is with enchilada sauce, it's all just kind of variable. It doesn't have to be so perfect. And I need 1/2 teaspoon of garlic, because I don't know, it seems like that's how I cook half the time. Anyway, it's not very perfect. And then oregano, just a little bit, 1/4 teaspoon of oregano. Okay, so what we're going to do is mix all these up, basically to make sure that we don't have any big lumps. Like all my spices have been kind of crazy lumpy today, so I don't want that to go into my roux. So you just mix these up, and this is what's going to give you that nice Mexican flavoring, I think. I basically started making homemade enchilada sauce because I finally found a recipe that I liked. I never liked the ones with tomato sauce or tomato sauce, all that. So this is how I do it. Okay, we're going to do 3 tablespoons of oil. 1, 2, 3. We'll call that good. Put that on our little stove top. And we're basically making a roux, which is oil, and then you add flour and you add liquid. So here's our oil, our flour, which now has our nice seasonings in it, and then our water. If you have chicken broth, you can use it for this, especially if you were doing like chicken enchiladas, that'd be really good. Today I'm doing vegetarian with no meat, and I'm also just out of chicken broth. It's something I never buy, so I don't have it in my house unless I have a chicken to boil. And I have used up all my chicken broth in the house, so I'm just using water, and I think that's fine. You just maybe add a little more salt when you are using water without chicken broth, because of course chicken broth has a lot of salt in it and water does not. So that's almost ready. So we're going to add this and then make a roux, and while that's kind of cooking, we're going to assemble our burritos or enchiladas. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and dump this in, and I want to stir. See, now my stuff's getting nice and hot. Stir as I go. Okay. So just like a roux when you're making mac and cheese, you get this real kind of thick flour paste. And you want this to cook for just a minute. Oh wow, you can smell all those spices coming out. It's really nice. You just adjust as your taste buds desire. So if you like the strong cumin, just add more. If this is not spicy enough, just add more chili powder or even some cayenne pepper. I don't even add any of that because we like it just like this. Now after this is cooked for about a minute, then you're going to add your liquid. I do about 1/2 cup and stir it to make sure I get most of my lumps out. And like boom, it thickens immediately. So then you add another 1/2 cup or so. You're going for, my recipe calls for 1.5 cups, but sometimes I end up putting 2 cups of liquid in. Just really depends on probably how well I've measured my flour. Today it's been a little bit crazy, so maybe I'm gonna need more liquid because I have more flour than I expected. So now it's kind of thickened up again. And then I'm gonna add, I've used about a cup of water, so I still have, there we go, there's my cup and a half. So I'm gonna see how this goes. And this is just a really fast enchilada sauce that basically comes together within minutes. And all you're looking for is a nice thickness to pour over your burritos, basically. So this is now going to have to just get a little bit thicker, and then it will be ready. So in the meantime, I'm going to kind of lay out my burritos. So I like flour tortillas. Hang on, I got to get rid of all my crazy spice problems here. Okay, so I use flour tortillas just because that's what my family likes the best. And these are about the size of your hand. And because I have 4 people that are going to eat tonight, I'm going to make 6 burritos. So I just lay them out. I got to stir this because I don't want it to stick. Okay. So then you just assemble your burritos with whatever you like. If you like steak fajita type stuff, you put that in. I sometimes do burger with the taco seasoning. Today I'm using all leftover stuff kind of. So I had some rice in the fridge and opened up some black beans. So I'm doing a veggie one today, which I kind of like to do vegetarian enchiladas a lot anyway. But this is no hard science. You just decide like what your family likes and how much rice everybody wants in their burritos versus beans and all that. So, and because I have leftover rice, everything that I'm putting in here is basically cold or room temperature. And that just means that they'll have to bake in the oven a little bit longer to get all warmed up and get my cheese nice and melted. So I don't know, I'd say that's what, a 1/4 cup per burrito? You just do whatever you like I said. And then I just have black beans that are just right out of the can, drained and rinsed. And I just scatter those on. As you can tell, I kind of like to be a messy chef. I just don't want to have to worry about being so clean all the time. And I have a dog that comes and cleans up my floor, so I'm kind of lucky that way. I guess not everybody thinks that's a good thing, but so I'm just going to scatter these on, and you can load these up as much as you want to. Sometimes based on what I have for ingredients, especially when I have meat, I suppose, a burger or whatever, they seem to get really full, but that's okay. They just kind of, you just roll them up and throw them in your pan. So okay, so I think I'm going to call that good for my beans and rice. And this is slowly thickening, so that's looking nice. And then I cooked up some peppers and onions, and I just put salt in them. I didn't do any kind of flavoring or anything on these. Again, because I don't always want that like strong taco taste necessarily. And I have my nice enchilada sauce, which is going to give me a nice flavor tonight. So I'm just going to spread this out. And this is one onion and 1 green pepper. That's how much I did here. So, and you wouldn't even have to pre-cook these. If you wanted to add these in raw to your stuff, you could, like if that's the way your family likes them. And if you don't like onions, just don't even put them in there. Again, these are all... This whole recipe and the inside of your burritos is whatever your family likes. Now, black olives is something my family likes, and look, I hardly have any today. I'm just like almost out. So we're all going to get like 4 or 5 little black olives today. But that's okay. I usually kind of put a hefty amount in our burritos. Whoops. Whoopsie, there goes some for the dog. Oh boy. So I just don't have a lot today, and I'm out completely. So that's all we're going to get. Okay, so beans, rice, peppers, onions, and now the cheese. And I gotta stir this. So this enchilada sauce is nice and like it's thick. It's not like pudding thick, but it's nice and thick so that you can pour it over the top of your enchiladas. Okay, so cheese. This is just cheddar cheese. I always use cheddar cheese in most of my stuff. You can buy the Mexican cheese if you want. You could do that Fresco, the white kind of Mexican cheese that gets real soft and melty. But I always have cheddar in my fridge. So these are kind of a go-to meal that I do quite often when I'm either unprepared or I don't know, we just love them a lot, so we eat them quite a bit. Okay, so this is pretty much how my burritos look before I roll them up. And I'm going to turn this off and stir it one more time. And that's basically ready. So my pan here, my baking pan, is basically big enough to fit the tortillas in. So however many you're making, just find a pan that fits for whatever. If you're doing 4, then you'd want a square. If you're doing a big one, you might need a bigger pan. But this is what I need for my 6. So I sprayed it with a little bit of oil so they don't stick so badly. And then you just basically roll them up. This is really kind of messy, and I've discovered I just do it like this and pick it up, and then I finish rolling it right into the pan so that anything that falls out falls right into where my little burrito is going to go. So you just roll it up, and you definitely want to roll it so that your seam here is on the bottom. Okay, you don't want your seam on the top. And I think that's just, it holds all the insides in. And then you also kind of tuck your sides down in. So I think these come together really nicely. And I have also done them on the stove top, like in a big pan. Either like if I don't want to turn my oven on, or I guess just if it's a smaller amount. And that seems to work just fine too. Okay, so there are my burritos, you could say. Okay, now I'm going to take my enchilada sauce, which smells really good and looks really nice. It's gotten a nice thickness to it. And you basically pour this over it, throw it in the oven, and call it done. So it's a really fast meal. So I just pour it over like this, a little bit everywhere, and then I spread it out just a little bit. I like to make sure that all of my tortilla has some of the sauce, because I think otherwise it can get dried out in the oven. Even though you put tinfoil over the top, I just like to cover it and almost smother it. So that's what I'm going for. I'm going to do a little bit more here. And then you can see I have a decent amount left still. So sometimes if it's looking like there's plenty of sauce, then I don't use all my enchilada sauce. I just save it for another meal. But again, it really depends. If you measure exactly, maybe it'll turn out better than mine did. No, I think that looks like enough. I don't really want any more sauce on here. So I'm going to call that plenty. I'm going to put this over here so it doesn't stay hot. And then you cover them with tin foil, and when I cover it, I don't spray this, and so I try to make like a little tent so that it's not like stuck down and all my sauce doesn't end up on my tin foil. But so I kind of just go up and then try to make sure that there's a little bit of an air pocket. Maybe it doesn't matter, I don't know. It's just nice to feel like I'm not smashing it right on top of all of my sauce. My oven is preheated to 350. So you throw it in, and then you come back. Because everything again is room temperature, I'm going to give it about 30 minutes. If everything is nice and hot, like if you have a hot burger and hot rice, if it's just freshly made, then I only give it about 15 or 20 and I check on it. And you're just looking for it to be nicely golden, and make sure your cheese is melted long enough for that. So we'll come back in a few minutes and check on it. Okay, we're back. My enchiladas have been in the oven for 30 minutes. I gave them a few more minutes because it seemed like the cheese wasn't quite so melty, but my timer just went off, and so I'm going to pull them out and take a look at them and hopefully serve them up right now. Okay, so we're going to take our tin foil off. All right, so this is what they look like. They're not, they don't look very much different than when you put them in the oven. If you have them in there for too long, then sometimes this can get all bubbly, but you can see here how my sauce is definitely getting kind of hardened. So you don't want to over bake them because then they almost tend to get dried out. But you'll just discover what works for your kind of hot food or cold food. Like mine today was kind of cold. So what I like to do is try to find the first one. So there's where it separates, and then I know that I'm just getting one enchilada, and then you just serve them up like this. And the tortilla gets really nice and soft, and they're just a really nice thing to eat, I think. So when you slice into it then, your cheese is all melty and the tortilla is soft. Now with that extra enchilada sauce I had, I could serve that with it, but generally this is enough flavor that you don't need that. So there are your veggie enchiladas. So thank you very much for watching today. I hope you enjoyed the show, and I hope you can make enchiladas and your family will think they're delicious. Okay, we'll see you next time. Thanks again. Bye.